Alexa, a maths instructor, meets Maximilian, an astrophysics instructor, at a St. Petersburg University and falls in love with him after discovering him nearly frozen to death while gazing at the sky. The couple soon gets married, and Alexa becomes pregnant. Maximilian wishes to name the newborn girl Jupiter. Even though Alexa detests the name, they are robbed one night when a group of burglars break into their apartment. Maximilian tries to get them to at least leave his cherished telescope, but they respond by shooting him and taking off with the stolen goods. Alexa, who is lonely and depressed, chooses to relocate with her family in Chicago and board a ship for the United States. The infant is born in the middle of the journey, and Alexa gives her the name Jupiter when she recalls her hubby. Jupiter's aunt assures her as she grows up that she will succeed and find true love, yet a grown-up Jupiter believes her life is miserable now. She can only get work as a cleaning lady for wealthy people since she is an immigrant's daughter, and on top of that, she must live with a large family in a cramped home with no true privacy. The three siblings from the mighty house of Abersacs finally got together in a long-forgotten world. The family harvests, therefore the world is empty, making a medicine that keeps them youthful with folks from many cultures. Recently, their mother passed away and left some planets for each of them. The youngest, Titus, wants to buy Earth from Balaam, the elder sibling. When Kalik reminds out how pricey Earth is, Balaam walks away silently. The following day, Caine, a hunter, is discovered by the bounty hunters Razzo, Ibis, and Falk in the streets of Chicago. The group observes Caine pass through a door using a unique device, demonstrating that none of them are from Earth. They decide to follow Caine since they are certain he is searching for the same victim as them. Caine is broken into a medical facility, and because he can use his highly developed sense of smell to hunt for clues, he is looking at the profile of a patient named Catherine. When he emerges, the group is waiting for him, so Caine turns on his floating boots and flees. After exchanging a few rounds, Caine manages to flee while the trio opens fire to stop him. Razzo advises her partners to alert their master Balaam of Caine's escape. Kalik converses with her servants in the interim because she wants to take part in the search on Earth as well, but she doesn't want her brothers to find out. Balaam is conversing with his people as well, and when he learns that they have discovered a unique genprint in Catherine, he issues directives, gonna murder her. It turns out that this Catherine individual is a close buddy of Jupiter. Jupiter is in the closet when she hears Catherine cry while she is helping her tonight select a dress. Jupiter looks and sees a group of gray aliens preparing to do something to Catherine's floating body, so she grabs her phone and takes a photo. When her phone rings at that precise moment, the aliens notice and instantly knock both humans out. The women briefly remember what happened before waking up. Jupiter eats dinner with her family in the evening, and her cousin Vasily assigns everyone their upcoming housekeeping duties. Jupiter requests a loan because she needs money. She fantasizes about owning a telescope similar to her father's, but Vasily advises her that she must make her own savings. Later, in secret, cousin Bloody persuades Jupiter to sell her eggs in exchange for cash. He receives a cut of the proceeds. The following day, Jupiter uses Catherine's name to visit the clinic. She discovers the photograph of the aliens while playing about on her phone. Before she has a chance to act, the doctor summons her to the operating room. Jupiter starts to feel uncomfortable as the nurses make her ready and wants to go, but her body starts to float away. The entire crew is actually aliens, and when they examine her DNA, they confirm that she is the one with the alien DNA. The mismatched names for the unique genprint were what caused the mistake. The aliens are about to kill her when Caine appears and shoots them all before saving Jupiter, who collapses. Titus, who is in a spaceship, learns that his hunter has located the girl, so he sends transport to retrieve her. When Balaam learns about the events at the clinic, he urgently instructs his soldiers to deploy twice as much security. Jupiter awakens in an unfamiliar room 12 hours later and takes Caine's revolver to demand explanations. Caine reveals that there are various forms of life on various planets around the universe, such as him being a half-human, half-wolf hybrid that was produced for the military but failed. Because of her unique genetic makeup, guys who call themselves keepers want to kill her. Caine displays to Jupiter his floating boots and a device that opens portals in walls as evidence for his claims. When Titus' spacecraft sends a beam their way at that precise moment, Caine chooses Jupiter to travel towards it. Sadly, Balaam's ships also show up there and cause Titus' ship to explode. The pair falls as a result of the explosion, but Caine reacts fast and catches Jupiter before he starts to flee. When the enemy ships fire at Caine, striking numerous structures and vehicles along the way, a chase across Chicago begins. They follow Caine to a bridge where he hid an enemy shuttle that he had stolen. They are now secure inside. Caine can retaliate and, if necessary, submerge himself underwater thanks to this spacecraft. Despite the fact that he is a good pilot, the shuttle sustains significant damage, and Caine must escape with Jupiter before it explodes. At least the boots ensure a safe landing. The following morning, Caine steals a vehicle while dragging Jupiter behind him because she wants more information. They are involved in a conflict inside the Abersacs family, one of the most potent families in the cosmos, according to Caine. In fact, they are so strong that they have already begun to reconstruct all the areas that their battle destroyed, and the keepers will purge everyone's memory, just like they recently did to Juniper. Caine only is aware that Balaam wants Jupiter killed and that Titus wants her taken to his ship. Speaking of Balaam, he examines the keeper's recollection of the clinic incident via a hologram and confesses to Jupiter that he occasionally misses her. He then reminds his guards that anyone who makes another threat would be killed. Mistake. A few hours later, Caine's friend Stinger's home is where Jupiter and Caine come. Stinger used to work as a marshal for the Aegis, a group of space police. Stinger starts assaulting Caine as soon as he sees him since he doesn't want to be forced back into his previous life. The battle is abruptly stopped when a swarm of bees surrounds Jupiter and follows the movements of her hands. Stinger notices this, and as bees can recognize royalty, he falls to his knees and addresses Jupiter as Your Majesty. After inviting everyone inside, Stinger uses an instant spray to treat Caine's injuries before revealing Caine had wings, but when he was court-martialed, he lost them. While Jupiter answers a call from Vladi, Caine tells Stinger that he didn't realize Jupiter was royalty and that Titus had just promised to reward him with new wings. A short while later, Stinger says he was able to get in touch with the Aegis, and they will take them up tomorrow. Stinger informs Jupiter that Caine was court-martialed for biting an elite person, and that since Caine was under his command at the time, Stinger was also sacked. This is all happening as Caine arms himself with Stinger's arsenal. Also informed is Jupiter. The Abrasax companies wiped out all the dinosaurs and populated the globe with humans who could be collected later, proving that humans are not native to Earth. Before Juniper can inquire as to the purpose of harvesting, Caine alerts them to the presence of the 3 bounty hunters and numerous keepers outside. When Stinger runs with Jupiter, Caine stays behind and fights with both firearms and his fists, but when they are encircled, he also needs to start firing. As Falk discovers them, Stinger is sent back by a shockwave, but the bees defend Jupiter when he tries to capture her. Falk chases after Jupiter as she tries to hide in the cornfield and uses another shockwave to knock her out. The keepers move closer suddenly. Razo and Ibis appear and turn on Falk, killing him and the keepers before stealing Jupiter into their ship. Falk then turns on Jupiter to kill her. Caine dispatches his adversaries and dashes from the residence in time to board the ship covertly. A few hours later, as the hunter's ship reaches an alien metropolis, Caine leaps from it before anyone can notice him. Jupiter is sold by the hunters to Kalik's inhabitants, who provide better prices than Balaam. Jupiter finds herself dressed up and in an unfamiliar room when she awakens. When Kalik visits her, she is astounded by how much Jupiter resembles her late mother. Jupiter is taken to see a statue by Kalik to support her argument. Shows that Jupiter is Kalik's mother's reincarnation, who was 90,000 years old when she was killed and looks exactly like her. Caine gets discovered by the guards when he slips into the estate and uses his nose to find Jupiter. He then fights the guards through the hallways. Jupiter is shown a secret pool by Kalik where the water makes her appear young even though she is actually 14,004. Although Kalik is silent about it, this is the potion that the siblings make by harvesting the lives of individuals. She tells Jupiter that since Jupiter is her reincarnation, she may claim the planet for herself and take part in the luxurious life because her mother owned it. Their discussion is cut off by Caine, who tries to yank Jupiter away. But Jupiter trusts Kalik and agrees to hold off until the Aegis shows up. Balaam murders the general who was unable to capture Jupiter once more in the interim and dispatches Gregan as a replacement soldier to pursue Jupiter. Aegis Captain Singh and Stinger show up a little while later and make a vow to accompany Jupiter to the Commonwealth Minister Honoris. Caine checks on Jupiter after she changes into more comfortable clothing, and they share a tender moment. Caine declines Jupiter's advances because she is princess and he is only a dog because she is trying to flirt with him. The ship eventually reaches Eris, the planet where the first people were created, and Jupiter is led by an android through numerous offices and a ton of paperwork that is so time-consuming and challenging to complete. Jupiter finally receives a seal on her wrist designating her as royalty after the android bribes a worker to expedite the process. When Jupiter questions Caine about his continued presence after everything is said and done, he replies that Stinger thinks if they assist her, they might be allowed back into the Force. Sadly, Stinger is surrounded by bounty hunters when he arrives, and because of the agreement he made with Titus, he betrays Caine. Later, Titus encounters Jupiter in a different spacecraft where he makes a pledge to her. An android guides Jupiter through a maze of offices and mountains of paperwork that takes forever to process. Jupiter finally receives a seal identifying her as royalty on her wrist after the android pays off a worker to speed up the procedure. When everything is said and done, Jupiter questions Caine about why he is still there. Caine responds that Stinger believes that if they help her, they might be permitted back into the Force. Regrettably, when Stinger arrives, he finds himself surrounded by bounty hunters, and as a result of the deal he struck with Titus, he betrays Caine. Titus makes a promise to Jupiter when they later cross paths. In a different spaceship, she hesitates to join forces with them to fight his siblings. To complete their agreement, Stinger contacts Titus guards in the interim. Stinger was abducted by Tsing, and she forced him to phone to find the ship's location. It is revealed after they hang up When Caine confronts Titus about lying to him, the latter responds that telling lies is merely a matter of survival. He intends to murder Jupiter after they get married in order to take Earth for himself. Caine is then launched into space as payback for his treachery, and on the way out, he manages to kick something, the divider. The handcuffs are then released by Caine using his boots, who also grabs some wall rubble that turns out to be protection gear. However, the ship escapes through a portal, so he is unable to return to it. Caine realizes that there isn't much oxygen left in the gear and fears that he will perish, but happily, the Aegis arrives just in time to save him. Stinger has the chance to explain that he only betrayed the crew because Titus promised a cure for his daughter's illness when he tells the crew they need to save Jupiter and asks for their assistance. Otherwise, he supports Aegis. Jupiter's family is concerned about her back on Earth and yells at Vladi for losing her to a dubious facility. Gregan enters through the ceiling at that precise moment and catches everyone. Later on, Jupiter admits she isn't sure about the wedding and requests to see Caine. Titus informs her that Caine departed because he assaulted people once more and emphasizes that the marriage is merely a contract to save the defenseless. Also, he demonstrates to her that he had a ritual of pardon ready for Caine but chose not to utilize it due of his betrayal. Persuaded by Titus, Jupiter agrees to marry him with good intentions. Jupiter is dressed in a stunning gown and driven to the ceremony a few hours later. Outside, Titus' fleet encircles the ship in order to protect it from the approaching Aegis strike. Although Jupiter hesitates at the altar, Caine and Stinger, who are still skilled pilots, battle the enemy valiantly. Just as she is ready to have a symbolic ring imprinted on her finger, she tries to withdraw her hand as she hears the sounds of the war. She has just about finished her vows. While Titus is telling Jupiter the truth, Caine enters the room and pulls a revolver on him as he forces her hand back into position. He desires to Jupiter simply requests that he take her away rather than kill Titus. She seizes the opportunity to grant Caine the pardon she stole from Titus as the Aegis ship removes Jupiter. Jupiter is opposed to Caine's desire to have a closer relationship with her. When they finally reach Earth, Jupiter discovers her house in shambles. Gregan and some of Balaam's soldiers are also present, and they explain that Jupiter must accompany them to renounce her position as monarch if she doesn't want her family to perish. Jupiter agrees to go even though Singh and Caine believe it to be a trap. Gregan takes Jupiter away in his spacecraft while Singh and Caine attempt to pursue them on the Aegis ship. However, they block the portal as soon as Gregan's craft passes through it to prevent the police from pursuing them. Before they are engulfed in a hazardous storm, Singh must rapidly turn the ship around. Caine is hesitant to take action as this storm encircles Balaam's domain, but Stinger arrives and gives him a moving speech about how much he needs Jupiter. Caine resolves to travel to the planet alone since he is desperate to have his own pack. Storm damage to his shuttle causes him to crash land violently, breaking the gravity hull as it descends. Jupiter visits Balaam at his fiefdom and accuses him of murdering his mother, prompting Balaam to slap her. Then Gregan almost kills Alexa as a result of Balaam. He is only stopped when Jupiter agrees to sign the abdication in order to save her mother. She is about to accept the agreement when she understands that Balaam would soon harvest Earth, and she refuses to trade millions of lives for her family. The instant Caine enters the palace and begins to fight Gregan, Balaam's men warn him of the hull damage. Balaam tries to kill Jupiter after she smashes the abdication tablet since she realizes her family will be secure. Jupiter instantly kicks him away from her. Balaam orders his men to kill Jupiter in a fit of rage, but Caine is quicker and saves her by opening a doorway underneath her. He conceals her. Before he returns to battle Gregan, Jupiter gives him a kiss while protecting her in a secure area. People on the planet start to evacuate as a result of the planet's cracked hull, so Jupiter starts packing up her family and leaving. The Aegis can move their ship closer thanks to the blockage's opening. When she is preoccupied, Balaam tries to attack Jupiter, but Jupiter has a revolver from Caine and shoots him in the legs. As a result of the palace's collapsing hull, Jupiter and Balaam fall to the ground as a result of an explosion that destroys the floor under them in the palace. Gregan still refuses to give up fighting Caine and flees despite Caine's efforts to save her. Grab him by the tail and drag him out of the building. Caine escapes Gregan's grip and carries on fighting on his flying boots as Jupiter and Balaam somehow save themselves by clutching a shattered railing. By damaging the beast's wings, he causes it to fall to the ground before killing it by placing a portal around Gregan's neck. After that, Caine contacts Aegis and tells them where he is so they can save every member of Jupiter's family. Jupiter is currently looking for a way out, but the structure continues collapsing under her. Several times, she comes dangerously close to falling, yet she manages to re-enter the palace. As he calls her mother, Balaam, who is waiting for her, starts beating her with a metal rod while admitting that he killed his mother and that she had begged him to do it since she detested her life. Jupiter takes the rod and strikes back with her own attacks, but out of respect for her morals, she refrains from killing Balaam. Balaam dies when the building completely collapses. At that same moment, Jupiter tumbles as well, but Caine saves her and equips her with safety equipment. Singh opens a gateway to escape with her ship because there is no more time left. Caine observes and swiftly crosses the portal while dodging all of the flying debris with his boots. Everyone is safely back in our solar system a little while later. Afterwards, Jupiter is back to her usual routine, but she shocks his family by taking a more upbeat attitude on everything. They give her the telescope she sought as compensation for the situation Vladi put her into. Jupiter meets Caine for a date after she finishes work. Now that Caine has his wings back, Jupiter has her own set of floating boots. They kiss and then take off together. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it, to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.